I'm Lacey.
I'm going to the counseling school today.
Okay.
What is your issue?
Well, I'm going to be graduating high school soon, and I don't really know which college I want to go to, and I'm not really sure which career path to follow. So, I've applied to a lot of colleges, and I've got accepted to all of them, but currently I'm undecided to all of them.
So you're undecided?
Yes.
What's the issue with the problem?
I've been exploring in a lot of high school classes what I like to do, and I have a lot of interests, but none of them speak to me. Like, I don't have a very strong interest in them, and I'm not really passionate about any of it. So I wasn't really sure. I've talked to my family, and my family's tried to help me, and they've come up with some good decisions, with some good ideas, but I'm not sure. I'm worried that once I finish college, I won't really like my career path, and then I'll just have to start over again.
So what do you like about?
Currently I'm thinking about business because I've taken a lot of business classes in high school, and I've really done well in them, and I like them. And also, my brother has been in PT for my entire life, and I've gone to a couple of, which is physical therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And I've gone to a couple of his sessions, and I really like that, so I'm thinking of maybe doing physical therapy and possibly opening my own practice. But I'm really worried because that's 7 years of schooling and a lot of money, and if I don't like it, then what do I do after that?
So what made you choose the schools?
I chose schools that offered physical therapy mainly because that's not offered at a lot of places. So I had to do that, and then I chose SUNY schools originally, and then I started applying to private schools once I found out how much help I could get with financial aid. So I chose schools that were closer to home, but not too close, so that I could get a little bit of independence. So I was accepted to my top choices, which were SUNY Brockport, SUNY ESF, and Clarkson. And now I have to choose between the three, but there are different programs at each place. Brockport and ESF have a 3+3 program with SUNY Upstate Med, which would be where my graduate school is. Whereas Clarkson has a graduate school on the downtown campus.
So what I've gathered is that you have been accepted into all three schools that you applied for.
Mm-hmm.
You're struggling with the idea of what school to go to and what major they have, because you fear that when you go to that school and you do 7 years of study, you may not like it in the end, and you feel like that'd be a waste of 7 years. When you talk to your parents, I presumed or heard that you talk to your parents, and they've helped you find a decision. So right now, I just would have the question asking you, what do you feel out of what your family has told you, and from how you feel, what do you think would be the best option to you?
Well, my mom helped me decide what I wanted to major in because she pointed out what would be both of my interests, what would be both lucrative in the money field, because I've always worried about money, and what she thinks I would be happy in. So I talked to her, and she didn't really have too much to say. But my dad, he went to the schools with me, and he visited them with me, and he liked all three of them. But he preferred Clarkson because it was closer to home, and I've never been away from home for more than a week until I go to college. So I think I would be comfortable with Clarkson, but I really like the other two schools too. I think I've got my top two choices if I had to knock one out. Probably be SUNY Brockport and Clarkson.
So these two schools are the ones that you are assuming that you're going to go to, and that's for PT and business?
Yes.
Okay. So I feel like you're very confused right now with the two choices that you have to make.
Mhm.
So you're feeling confused. How can I help you?
I don't. Maybe if you just heard what I was saying, and maybe you saw something that I don't hear myself, and could tell which school I'm leaning towards. Because I've thought about it and I thought about it, and I have not been able to come to a decision, and I have to send in my acceptance soon. So the differences would be Brockport offers a 3+3 program, so I'd have to go to Upstate Med, and so I wouldn't be able to study business there. I would do the pre-PT program there, and then go on and do the PT program at Upstate Med, which means I would do 3 years in Brockport, and then I'd have to do 3 years in Syracuse, which would be a complete and total change. Whereas at Clarkson, I would do my undergrad in business, and then I could do my graduate in PT, and I'd be all in the same place. Also, Brockport's about 6 hours away, and then Syracuse is 4 hours away from my home, whereas Clarkson's only 2 hours away. And if I went to Brockport, it'd be a year less than if I were to go to Clarkson.
So what I'm hearing is that you have these two differences. There's
Mhm.
Clarkson. Clarkson has the undergraduate in business and the graduate in PT, while the other school, SUNY
Brockport
has the PT, which you have to take a graduate at 3 years in Syracuse. Yes, for business. Or is it for business?
It'd be 3 years would be pre-PT and 3 years PT. I wouldn't do business if I went to Brockport.
Okay, so I feel like you may be leaning towards Clarkson.
I think I would enjoy Clarkson because of the business. I would be able to do that, and I would feel comfortable in opening my own practice one day, which I could do if I went to Brockport. I just don't think I wouldn't be as comfortable, I don't think. So I think I would like Clarkson, but also it's an extra year and it's a lot more expensive.
Mm.
So I'd have to get a lot of financial aid if I were to do that. And then that's another thing I worry about because I've always worried about money. Because my dad makes some money, but my mom doesn't really.
Okay, so you're worried about the money,
Yeah.
and you feel like if you go to Clarkson, you won't be able to pay.
I'm not so worried about being able to pay because I know my dad will make it happen. But I'm worried that I will spend 7 years in a school that costs $55,000 a year, and then I won't be able to do anything with my degree.
So you're worried about the degree not being able to. You're worried about not liking your degree.
Yes.
So wasting money. That's what you're worried about.
Yes.
So I feel like you may want to write down why you want to be a PT and why you want to be a business major.
Mhm.
And maybe I feel like writing those things down would help you reach your goal, a goal that I believe would be finding the right school, finding which school you want to go to.
Okay.
Okay. So that seems like is that something that you want to do?
I think it's a good idea. I will probably also try to write a list about each school and the pros and cons they have, and try to figure out, make sure that Clarkson is the place I want to go to. And if the business list doesn't have anything that I really want, then maybe I'll go to Rockport because then maybe I don't want to do business.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing I guess I could do is I could try out Clarkson for a semester or a year and see how well it goes, and then if I end up not liking it, I can always transfer without spending 7 years. I could just spend 1.
So you said you were worried about the money. Is there a difference between the schools, like how much would the other school cost in comparison?
The other school is about 20,000 a year, so it's about a 35 grand difference. But I also wouldn't get as much help if I went to Rockport. I get more financial aid at Clarkson.
Okay.
So I don't know the complete breakdown of it because my mom, she's the one that she deals with the money. So she's looked at it, and I know it's a couple grand difference, but I'm not really sure which one ends up being cheaper when it all comes down to it. So I guess I'm not too worried about the money. I'm just more worried about spending 7 years and having all that money rack up and then not having a degree to get me a job so that I can pay off those loans.
So what might make you feel, why do you feel that you will like this degree?
It's not that I don't feel like I won't like it. I'm really, for me, a big deal is I want to be happy. Because as a child, I've always held the weight of my parents' problems because they just didn't really hide it very well. So I don't want my kids to feel like that. I don't want them to have to worry about money. I just want me to be happy and my family to be happy. So I don't want to end up with a degree that ends up making me miserable and then in turn makes my family miserable.
Okay.
So I know that I enjoy that. I just don't know if I will enjoy it in the long run.
So you feel like your family not being happy with where they are, not being happy with what they're doing now, has affected you and made you worried about money and made you scared that you won't be happy.
Right.
So how did you figure out that, what made you feel like your parents were not happy with?
Well, my dad has always struggled with addiction. He's good now, but my parents separated when I was about in 6th grade. I think it was 6th grade. So my dad would struggle with addiction, and then my mom would struggle with money and bills. And so once they separated, things changed, but my mom didn't get much better while my father did.
Mm-hmm.
So my mom had primary custody over me and my brother. I ended up raising my brother because my mom had so many problems with money and a job, and she just kept sinking. So then I had to take on the responsibility of the mother. Whereas I had my father and my grandmother to help me, but I was primarily under my mother's custody. So it's affected me in the way that it made me grow up, it made me raise my brother. I wasn't able to make any money at that point to try to help my mom, but I mean, the best I could do was become the mother. So it has affected me, and it's made me think more logically about things than maybe some other teenagers at this age would.
So because you had to lose your brother, you feel more responsible. You feel like that you're really worried about that affecting your kids, that you're not being happy, like your mom wasn't happy with.
Right.
And you're scared of not having enough money because your mom didn't have enough money and she raised you.
Right.
That must be difficult.
Everybody says that, and maybe at that time I felt that way, but I'm glad for what has happened because it's made me realize what life will be like a little bit more than other people, so I can have these opinions about my life so that I can make sure it doesn't happen again. I'm not bitter against my mom. We have a good relationship. She still has both of us, but we still see my dad all the time. So I have a good family relationship, and I'm not bitter about it. I'm worried that my kids will worry like I had to.
So what makes you feel like they would worry? Just the fact that you not being happy at the job, or
Yeah, 'cause my mom wasn't happy, which led her to be a little more absent, and I don't want to be like that. I want my kids to be happy. I want them to not worry about money. I don't want them to have the childhood I did.
so just you want to be able to help your kids not feel the same way you did.
Right.
So how do you feel that will? How do you feel like you can reach that?
Just by being happy. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try probably Clarkson for a semester or a year. I'm gonna try to shadow some physical therapists, and I'm gonna take the courses I need to, and I'm gonna see how well I do in them and how much I like them. If I find myself unhappy, then I'll try to figure something different out.
So it seems to me like you know what you want to do.
I think I do right now, and then we'll see later on how it affects me.
So I'm assuming that between the two schools, it's not an issue between the two schools, but an issue with what are you going to do and what will make you happy.
Right.
So I feel like we can reach a goal now.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the goal that you may want to reach is finding or making sure you feel happy with what you're doing.
Yes.
So that in the end, in the long run, your kids will be happy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I'm happy that we had this conversation.
Me too.
I'm hoping and happy about our next session. So, great meeting you.
Nice meeting you.